How does central banking and fiat currency affect wealth distribution inside of, let's just focus on the United States, but any nation for that matter?
That is where the proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So the people closest to the spigot, let's go through the mechanics of how central banking even works. Let's say Robert is the Treasury and I'm Daddy Fed. You come to me because Congress blew through their billion they had last week, and you come to me and say, Fed, I need to know their billion. And the Fed gets out the checkbook, write it, and guess what conjures it into existence? Me signing the check, give it to Treasury. Treasury then deposits it at one of 12 member banks. You might ask yourself, why is there 12 banks? That's part of the sales pitch that occurred in 1913. Oh, it's not just a Wall Street bank, because people, as they do today, hate Wall Street, right? And even though hedge fund's not the really right word, I run private fund. I'm not part of Wall Street. I'm from Florida, so don't
hedge fund.
Don't
Ex Wall Street.
Yeah, ex Wall Street recovering. Yeah. That's actually what made me want to start my own company. But so once the check is deposited in one of the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks, then Treasury says, all right, I got to pay military, I got to pay contractors, and then it goes from the Federal Reserve banks to the commercial banks. Bada bing, bada boom. We just created money out of nothing.
Yeah.
That is the mechanical process. That is with it backed by gold, by the way. Mm-hmm. Did that answer the mechanical question?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good...
I can keep going.
It's a good start, but it's the wealth distribution is what we want to focus on. So, and the important point here is that the money is not the goods. It's not the stuff. So when they're conjuring it out of thin air, they're not conjuring any goods out of thin air. What they're conjuring is the ability to buy more goods handed out to certain people, the contractors and military that you described. And then as that money enters wider circulation, the people that get it last are basically paying the bill.
Correct.
So it's stealing from the poor and the middle class to give to
at interest.
Government
at interest,
rich, yes.
Right. So it's really, sorry, I get so forgive me, I'm Irish and Italian. I get so enraged by the fact that this even occurs. I told my son, who's 11, who's coded video games, he's a freak, way smarter than his dumb redneck dad, what this system was. He's like, who would ever agree to that?
Yeah.
And so through that passion, I got lost in my own matrix. Literally, you can go on the St. Louis Federal Reserve Board site, even though the data is semi bullshit, and see that the wealth divide has gone like this. It's made there's an all-time delta between even the senators of Rome and their slaves, the multiple of wealth. And the closest to the spigot commands the purchasing power first. The furthest from the spigot foots the bill. And what we have been trained by the media to think is that the cost of things is going up, when in fact, no, the purchasing power is going down. 1 ounce of gold can buy a suit, shoes, a belt, just like it did when it was $35 an ounce in 1910.
Yeah.
The cost of production and goods actually stays constant.
Yeah.
That's a misnomer that even most Keynesian economics folks speak.
Yeah. So to decipher that, money is a representation of goods and services. So if you print more of it, you actually create the illusion of there being more goods and services than there actually are.
Which pushes price up.
Well, yeah, but that signal doesn't propagate until people actually spend that money to buy stuff. And whoever gets that money first then benefits by buying cheaper stuff before the prices get bid up when the money's circulated more widely. So what we're saying is this is taxation without representation, without legislation, without anything, right? There's no due process.
It's a hybrid of theft and taxation.
Yes. Yeah. But done in a way that gives the government plausible deniability. Like when you have Joe Biden on a Super Bowl commercial.
The Fed is in the government.
Well, okay. But what I was going to go with is Joe Biden on the Super Bowl saying, oh, I love ice cream. I can't believe the price of ice cream has gone up. It's these damned ice cream producers that keep increasing their prices.
Right.
Vote for me and I'm going to pass a law that says they can't increase the prices. Like he can get away with that bullshit
because people are
don't
stupid.
Understand these mechanics.
Yeah, they're stupid. And really, like, if we want to get to sound money, a Bitcoin standard, and peace and prosperity, people got to wise up. Like the reality of it is like, you know, when Congress signed when the founding fathers signed the Constitution, there was a woman outside that asked John Adams when he came out, "What have you got for us, Mr. Adams?" And he said, "A republic if you can keep it." Mm. Well, clearly we failed miserably at keeping our fucking republic.
Yeah.
And we got somebody who wasn't even elected running for president. I mean, it's just mind-numbingly insane. In order for us to really have material change, people have to be aware of mechanics, and not necessarily trust, distrust, believe, not believe, but just be conscious. Here is how it works, and we can do better than it's currently doing.
Yeah, it is a mind game ultimately, right? And it's based on people's belief in something. If that belief is expressed by holding it, if you hold dollars in your savings, then you're energizing a system that is designed to deceive and steal from you and wage endless war.
And everything's correlated to that deception. The reason fluoride is in the water, the reason that you see the white stripes sprayed in the air, is to make you dumb, infertile, and docile.
Yeah.
It's all correlated upwards to this evil.
Yeah. Make you a nice, obedient taxpayer.
Low T cuck.
Yes.
I couldn't help it. Sorry.
All right. Okay. In one of our previous conversations, you said that basically
that one with the
no, it's absolutely true. Essentially every war, you said this, essentially every war since the Battle of Waterloo, which is June 1815, has been a banker's war.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone likes war. This seems to be like a universal thing humans can get behind. Hey, war fucking sucks. What is the connection between the corruption of money and war?
So this sort of marrying of church and state, right, where it's this quasi-governmental function. Every government actually likes a central bank, right? How does a bartender from Queens or Brooklyn, wherever the hell she's from, go from 0 to 28 million in less than 5 years? Everybody knows who I'm talking about.
AOC.
Right. Yeah. Because of the central bank. Right. Because then there's lobbyists.
Yeah. And how does Nancy Pelosi earn a $75 million
we
net
just
worth
break the law, insider trading. Yeah. So why? Because that awful marriage, it allows the central bank to force action on the government. Oh, you're going to go put a central bank in Nicaragua. Oh, Saddam has his own gold-backed currency and he wants to trade oil in euros. Fuck you. We're coming after you. And even W goes, well, he didn't really have WMDs and they didn't do 9/11, but we had to go get him because he's bad. Oh, democracy. Yeah. Even though where we sit now is not a democracy. We're a republic. So it is 100% correlated from 1776, really. And then once the Bank of England was taken over, and then once this creature took over the United States, can anybody name a world war that occurred before World War I? No, you cannot. Why? Because the central bank created it. Literally, does anybody know the start of World War I? 1 year, almost to the day after this was signed.
No.
And
1 year to the day.
Wait a minute. You're going to tell me? Sorry, I can riff for a long time.
Yeah, no. It's important, right? I think people, this is the thing, I would imagine if people understood this, there would be, Henry Ford has that great quote, right? Where he says, if people understood the mechanics of the banking system, there'd be a revolution before tomorrow morning.
And the only reason I'm even here, I love you, obviously, but the only reason I'm here is to create that revolution, bar none. And if we don't have the faith and the strength to do it, then you deserve to be debt fucking slaves. It's that easy. And I'm going to speak to truth to power while I'm alive, and because I've got kids and I don't want them to suffer under this.
Yeah,
that converted me to Bitcoin. This awareness, when I saw it, I was like, oh, poof, got it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because there have been revolutions. This country was founded in one of them, right? We did have the bloody revolution. We
against
won.
This force.
We did. We won. We dispelled it. It was gone from 1776 until 1913. But guess what? It's back.
Right.
And once it sticks, there's no getting rid of it. It doesn't seem like. I mean, historically, I don't think a country's ever, once they've started debasing currency, that society disappears eventually.
So
right?
you want to learn some like media tricks that they did? So in 1910 and 1913, they were like, oh, disrupt the money trust. That was a famous phrase, and they had the octopus over all three branches of government. And now they've convinced us stuff's too big to fail. Oh, Elon and Vivek, they're going to fire 75% of government. Like that's a bad thing, right? It's this propaganda where It's funneled by them. They own every single agency other than InfoWars, basically. And that was an extreme example, obviously, but you get the point. Huh?
And WIM.
Yes. Yeah. I'd like them to try, and that way we could just take them out. So you really got to, again, unlock the first step, and then all the things else will relieve themselves over time. And it's just, there's no area that you can look at that they don't own, control, or want you to have their opinion of it.
And the money is the linchpin to the whole thing. That's obviously the theme we keep revisiting. If you take away the control over money, then none of this other control is possible, or maybe it's at least radically inhibited.
Well, and they're the most confident they've ever been right now. Has anybody seen the montage of all the news anchors across all the countries when they had COVID? And they literally are saying the same exact lines.
Right.
If there was any doubt that they don't own
a threat to our democracy, right?
That's right. And you're like,
and again, we're a constitutional republic, founded as a constitutional republic. A constitution, an enumerated list of things the government can never do to you.
Mm-hmm.
And a republic is low central state power, high local state power.
Correct. State's right.
But once you put in the money printer, the central state becomes big.
Mm-hmm.
Local states become small by comparison.
And that even happened at the National Bank and State Bank. That battled all the way until this.
Yeah.
The last iteration of state banks putting up a fight was 1987 to 1991, where the stroke of a pen changed the regulatory requirements for savings and loans. Not only did it bankrupt the banks, but it actually called the notes on all the homes of the people who had mortgages with those banks. And some of you are plenty old enough to remember that. That was by decree.
Mm-hmm.
By decree.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really in the grand scheme of the timelines of history, this is an extraordinarily short window that we've really foobarred the whole planet, or allowed them to foobar the whole planet.
Yeah. Sound money has more or less been the norm of human history when you look at it over 5,000 years.
Correct.
But the past 100 plus-ish years have been kind of an anomaly. We've had a couple of other anomalies historically, but over the broadest scope, we've been a sound money society. If you enjoyed this clip, click here for the full episode and here for more just like it. Also, like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and subscribe to stay connected. Thank you.